Hello! I hope everybody had a good new year, and a happy new year it is, and what better time than a brand new year to start learning something new. So let's coast off that new year's motivation and start learning about arrays! My name's Christian, and this is Learning C# in Unity for Beginners. So, in the last video, which you can check out here, we started looking at how we can use basic statements and variables. Today we're going to be looking at arrays, which simply put, an array is a group of variables of the same type. Now, the main reason we use arrays in this stage of our learning is to apply behaviours and features to a range of data, as well as just to make our code a little bit leaner. I know this probably isn't making much sense at the moment, so let's give it some context and have a look at an example. Say you have a load of pets and you want to start listing all of their names. Well, how would you go about doing this? What we learned last episode, we'd start by declaring some variables for our pets. Then we would assign value to these variables. But wouldn't it be great if we could store all of this information in just one variable? Well, using arrays, we can. So, to declare an array rather than a single variable, all we need to do is start off with our data type, followed by square brackets, and then the name of our array. So in this case, pets. Then we need to initialize our array, which is very similar to initializing any other variable. We start with our array name, then equals new, whatever data type we're using, followed by the size of the array in the square brackets. So in this case, we'll use 10 to say we have 10 pets, because that's a normal amount of pets to have, 10. Awesome! What would have been 20 lines of code, we've now condensed down to 2. But wait a second, we haven't actually assigned value to any of our variables, so it doesn't really matter. So let's do that now. So we can start off by doing it very similarly to how we'd assign value to any other variable. Notice how when I'm assigning value, I've started the index at 0. This is because all arrays start their index at 0. So an array the size of 10 would start at 0 and end at 9, same as an array the size of 100 would start at 0 and end in 99. The issue is now we've used another 10 lines of code just to give values to our variables, which kind of defeats the purpose of using an array in the first place, doesn't it? But not to worry, what we can do is condense this all into a single line of code, and if we put it on the same line as our declaration, we've condensed the whole thing down to one line of code. Rather than writing out each index and assigning the value, all we need to do is write it in a list. And there we go, we've done it. We've condensed 20 lines of code into one. Now this is going to come in really handy later on, just to save you space and time when you're coding. But before we go, let's have a look at another kind of array that we can use. So in the example we just looked at, we just used something called a single dimensional array. But we can also use something, or create something, called a multi-dimensional array. So if we're sticking with our pets example, think of a multi-dimensional array. Rather than you owning 10 pets, you've got 10 friends, and each of them have 10 pets, and you want to know all of the names of each of their pets. So you've got them in an array. So to write this, we'd write, by declaring our array with a comma within the square brackets, we're saying that our array has 2 dimensions, and the 2 tens within the initialization square brackets say the size of each of those dimensions, so 10 friends with 10 pets each. So just to put this in some context, let's say our first friend's first pet is called Gary, and our 8th friend's 4th pet is called Jim. We'd write, and then we'll print this into the console window just to see that it's worked. And there you go, fantastic. Hopefully now you have a solid idea of what arrays are and how and why we might use them in our code. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. I'd love to see any questions or feedback you've got, so please leave a comment below, let me know what you thought. Please join me for the next episode, where we're going to be having a more in-depth look at operators.